Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, I spoke with President Trump this evening and told him that if Hezbollah does not stop attacking our cities and citizens, Israel will attack terror targets in Beirut. Our position remains the same. At the same time, IDF will continue to operate as planned in southern Lebanon. Trump reigns in Netanyahu over Lebanon after Iran threatens to quit talks. So is Netanyahu now openly boasting to the world he doesn't care what the President of the United States thinks or says? Well, Piers, he clearly didn't care when it was Joe Biden. Why should he care if it's Donald Trump? Donald Trump eats Benjamin Netanyahu's dick for breakfast every morning. Why the would he care? We've never reined Israel in since the first Trump administration. So we've taught them that they can do this without accountability. Why should he do something different? Trump on the push and pull, he's hearing that I should move faster or move slower, go to war or not go to war with Iran. Iran really wants to make a deal, and it will be a good one for the USA and those that are with us. But don't the Democrats and very seemingly unpatriotic Republicans understand that it is much tougher for me to properly do my job and negotiate when political hacks keep negatively chirping at levels never seen before over and over again? That I should move faster or move slower, or go to war or not go to war or whatever. Just sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end. It always does. He's such a idiot, dude. Yeah, Gregory Brew, senior analyst for Iran and oil at Eurasia Group, says, for what it's worth, markets turning red and Brent climbing on headlines from Iran state media that contain a bunch of threats on what might happen if there's no new ceasefire in Lebanon is a good illustration of why Iran is trying to get a new ceasefire in Lebanon. If you have leverage, why not use it? The problem is America acts as though it doesn't have any responsibility here whatsoever. America is the principal negotiator on the other side. All it needs to do is restrain Israel, but they can't for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Israel now pushing further into the country than they have in 26 years as they fight Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Capturing Beaufort Castle, nestled on a strategic mountaintop, the Israeli flag now flying above its walls. Israeli strikes have devastated Lebanon. The country's health ministry says more than 3,400 people have been killed since March, with over 10,000 wounded.
The head of the National Security Commission for the Iranian parliament says if the attacks against Lebanon are not completely halted, dark days await the Zionist regime and the American forces in the region. They themselves know full well that is not a threat. Our fingers are on the trigger. Israel destroys everything, dude. It destroys everything. It doesn't give a The only way to restrain Israel is to punish Israel. That's it. And the only way to punish Israel is by forcing America's hand to punish Israel. There's no other way to do it. America's the most powerful country on the planet still. Obviously, its power has diminished quite a bit. But the only time the Iranian government has ever gotten any gains, any leverage, is when they fought for it militarily. So the idea that their peaceful strategic restraint method that they're going back to right now is going to somehow succeed is bunk. It's not working.
Today that the Iranians were actually breaking off negotiations with the United States. That moved oil markets. And so that's what I asked the president about. I said, do you think the negotiations are over now, or is this a bluff by the Iranians? The president said, I don't care if they're over, honestly. I really don't care. I couldn't care less. If they're over, they're over. If they're not, you know, I think they took too much time.
Bro, this is the American president, bro. This is the American president. This is the American president. This is who's leading the country. What's even more nutty is that the overwhelming majority of Americans that have supported Trump in the past simply don't give a shit. Or if they actually care enough to learn about what's going on, support it. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Like, what can we do? And when you speak out against it, the government says you need to shut the fuck up. I don't know, man. Truly a horrifying state of affairs.
Frankly, I think they started to get a little boring. The president said he thinks that the Iranian side was tapping us along. That is, that they were stalling for time. Ultimately, on oil prices, the president was confident that he said, oil will be dropping like a rock. He said, ultimately, if the Iranians want to try and have a nuclear weapon, I will blow them up to kingdom come. He said what this is all about for him is a strongly held conviction that the Iranians should not ever be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, and that American voters will tolerate higher gas prices as long as they know what the goal is here. I also asked him about Netanyahu and the Israelis. I asked, it seems to be that the Iranians are saying they're not going to negotiate until Israel stops attacking in Lebanon. Have you talked to Netanyahu about it? I asked the president. He said, this is about 40 minutes ago, he said, no, but I'm going to ask him what's going on with Lebanon. They've been fighting for a long time.
Sounds like the Israeli leadership was so caught off guard by Hezbollah's fire yesterday, they called in Rubio to stop it. By this point, Hezbollah was firing at least 1 to 2 salvos an hour and extended their range down to Nahariya, Acre, Safed, and Tiberias. Haifa was going to be next. MP Hassan Fadlallah to Al Mayadeen says, yesterday there was an attempt by the U.S. Secretary of State to promote a new formula, no bombing the suburbs in exchange for no bombing in the north, without committing to a comprehensive ceasefire. Oh, so the tit for tat between Hezbollah and Israel doesn't work that way when Hezbollah is also bombing back. What's the lesson that you teach all of the resistance in the group, in the region? The lesson that you teach is you have to fight back militarily. That's literally what Israel is saying to everyone, okay, over and over again. If you don't fight back militarily, Israel will continue to pounce and will continue to kill civilians and will continue to destroy civilian buildings. Yeah, Hezbollah just fired 5 rockets in the Metula, and Israeli channels are losing their minds already. We have been informed by the President of the Republic that President Trump contacted Lebanese ambassador and requested a halt to the mutual attacks as a prelude to a comprehensive ceasefire. This matter is being followed up, and communication with the President of the Republic on this issue is ongoing. We will not accept a return to the situation before March 2nd. And then people turn around and go, wow, dude, how could you ever say anything positive about Hezbollah? How could you understand why the Lebanese population would rise up in arms and fight back against Israel? I don't know, because I've seen Israel kill too many children. They're baby killers. What are you supposed to do? Not fight back? What are you, insane? Even if Hezbollah dropped its arms tomorrow, Israel would just move further into Lebanon, as they have done so in the past. Same goes for the Palestinian resistance in its entirety. Nobody wants this. The Lebanese population doesn't want this. The rest of the world doesn't want this. Iran doesn't want this. Only Israel wants this. Some in America don't want this either. Many in America don't want this either. But even in the American administration, they're saying this is ridiculous. This has gone on for far too long.
A full conflict that we saw pre-April the 8th ceasefire. But what these tit-for-tat strikes against American bases and Iranian launch facilities, what that does do is completely undermine confidence from either party going forwards, and crucially erode that sense of good faith and goodwill going into much more meaningful negotiations down the line, particularly on the Iranian nuclear enrichment program. Now, Donald Trump is keen to wrap this up in a matter of days.
Who's ruining the deal, man? Who's ruining the ceasefire? Israel's announcement that it intends to renew its terror bombing of Beirut is not really about Hezbollah or even Lebanon. Israel believes, I think correctly, that Iran will view such attacks as an unacceptable violation of the U.S.-Iran ceasefire and respond accordingly. Israel hopes that this will in turn produce a renewal of full-scale U.S.-Iranian hostilities and successfully derail diplomacy. Israeli assumptions are likely to be vindicated. Very likely, but not certainly. There's only one way to stop this from happening, and that is the United States of America. The United States of America can just turn around and say, Israel, what the are you doing? You're done. But they won't do it. So the only other alternative here is for Iran to reestablish military deterrence and start its bombing campaign, which will come at a great cost to the Iranian citizens as well, because America and Israel will come back and start blowing up civilian power plants, bridges, roads, railroads, as they have done so. That is the goal here. The Israeli goal here is to eat away as much damage as possible, knowing full well that America is going to defend Israel no matter what. Israel can get away with it because Israel knows America will spend every dollar they have in the bank to defend the Israeli population as a whole and the Israeli government as a whole. So the only alternative here is to win militarily, as they've done so thus far, to establish military deterrence. Even if Hezbollah were to fully dissolve its military wing, and withdraw entirely from the Lebanese political life tomorrow, the historical and strategic record offers little confidence that Israeli forces will withdraw from occupied Lebanese territory. If anything, the current operation tempo suggests the opposite trajectory. Dylan Saba takes a quote from this analysis. Historically, buffer zones do not remain buffer zones. They become frontiers, and frontiers in the logic of states that have internalized expansion as security generate the justification for the next buffer. This is the Greater Israel Project in motion. This is what Israel has done always. The only time Israel has ever retreated from the Greater Israel Project is when it was forced to by the United States of America, or defeated militarily, or incurred too much penalty. That's what Israel is doing currently. This is not a question of Hezbollah's merits or failures. That judgment belongs exclusively to the Lebanese people, who bear the cost of that answer in blood and infrastructure. The question is one of strategic intent, and intent is honestly read through behavior rather than stated justification. This is analyst Hamzeh Attar. What we are witnessing is Israel, for the first time in its history, operating as the unchallenged regional superpower, doing so with unprecedented latitude granted by Washington. That combination of capability and political cover is not being conserved, it's being spent. The logic of the current campaign, stripped of its reactive framing, points towards a deliberate restructuring of Israel's strategic environment. Two fronts have been the priority: Lebanon and Syria. In Lebanon, Hezbollah has been degraded to a degree that would have seemed implausible 3 years ago. In Syria, Israeli strikes have been so systematic and so comprehensive in targeting military infrastructure that what remains of Syrian conventional capability is negligible. These are not defensive operations. They are the deliberate elimination of the last organized military architecture on Israel's northern and northeastern flank. This brings us to two remaining fronts: Egypt and Jordan. Both maintain functioning armies, both share borders with Israel, and both represent the final serious military actors within Israel's natural expansion sphere. He's talking about the Greater Israel project, something that Mike Huckabee has defended when talking to Tucker Carlson. Neither is under immediate threat of direct confrontation. They don't need to be. The strategy doesn't require kinetics against Cairo or Amman. It requires geometry, the progressive elimination of the coalition depth, the strategic alternatives, and the deterrent architecture that gave both countries leverage. That is, of course, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Shia militias in Iraq, and the IRGC in Iran. Once those guys are gone, Israel can move to any country it wants to and do exactly what it's been doing. With Hezbollah weakened, Syria militarily hollowed out, and the Palestinian question being foreclosed rather than resolved, Egypt and Jordan will find themselves facing Israel without the strategic weight that previously balanced the relationship. Historically, buffer zones do not remain buffers. They become frontiers, and frontiers in the logic of states that have internalized expansion and security generate the justification for the next buffer.
In Iran, on an island and on the mainland, Iran firing 2 ballistic missiles at U.S. forces based in Kuwait, those being shot down by American air defense systems.
This guy practically lives in Tel Aviv? No, he literally does now. All of the top foreign policy correspondents now basically just live in Tel Aviv.
Said that the group has committed to a full ceasefire on Lebanese territory, that Israelis and the Hezbollah militia will stop shooting at each other. So we do seem to be moving 1 step forward, 2 steps backward, 2 step forward, 1 step backward. And it is very hard to know if we are heading more toward war or heading more toward peace. On the Iranian front, things are not looking good with the negotiations, if not completely frozen, certainly stalled on this issue of Lebanon.
There's no steps forward. It's all backwards. I don't know. Trita says it's going good. I'm having a hard time comprehending that, but I trust his analysis. I trust his resources, but it doesn't seem to me like it's going good at all. So the ceasefire equation is Israel can continue to occupy parts of Lebanon as long as it doesn't push too far north, and Hezbollah can continue to shoot at Israeli troops as long as they're inside of Lebanon. Yeah, that's the new version, the new iteration. Breaking, it's happening. You're crazy. Trump fumes and oh god, again. Oh my god, here we go. Welcome back, Joseph Robinette Brandon, dude. I'll believe it when I see real hard lines being enforced. Welcome back, Brandon, dude. Holy we missed him. Another red line. It only took 2 years and 5 months for Trump to fully brand it. No, he's been brandoning. He's been brandonizing at an alarming rate. In my conversation with my brother, Mr. Nabi Berri, the Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament, I emphasized that if the crimes of the Zionist regime in Lebanon continue, we will not only halt the dialogue process, but also stand firmly against them. No, dude, they're doing fake demon shit right now. I'm sorry. Straight up. They're like, oh, we are steps away from pulling out of this agreement. America knows when you go fake demon mode. Here's the one thing Donald Trump is right about. If Iran practices strategic deterrence once again, America will punish them. Long live the brotherhood of the Iranian and Lebanese peoples. Long live the resistance. Long live the defense of the motherland. They're doing strategic deterrence. They're like doing the will they, won't they type shit. Where they're like, maybe we'll pull out of the deal. Okay, but that doesn't mean that Iran is not going to do that. They haven't done so in the last month, as America and Israel have kept violating the good faith ceasefire negotiations process.